Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. The rise of silver on two fronts. Let's explore. Silver stackers should really be quite pleased with the performance of silver over the past year, as we've seen it rise substantially, well over 70% from a year ago. When you average it out, when the price was about $15.50 per ounce. But when you look at a time when silver hit under $12, and when it rose to $30 for a brief moment of time last year, that was a much higher percentage, obviously well over 100% increase. But averaging it out, it's still done very well. But when you think about it, that kind of performance move, many in the community and those who are accumulating and analysts that study precious metals are still disappointed. And why? Because they look at other factors, such as where silver had been in the past, in terms of the spot price when it got close to $50 an ounce. And so people are a little bit confused, and they are also disappointed in silver's performance. But when you take into account that those two previous highs of almost $50 an ounce occurred for a very brief amount of time in 1980 and in 2011, and also when you adjust them for inflation, it seems like silver should be a lot higher now. And so therefore people tend to place the blame on manipulation. Well, more specifically, what I refer to as macro manipulation, which is essentially price suppression by the big banks. And I'm not talking about the central banks. I'm talking about those like J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and others in a cabal to try to keep the price of silver down. Although I've pushed back against that narrative because I don't really necessarily believe there is hard evidence that it's occurring. But notwithstanding, I believe that when you take a look at it with the rise of silver's price on two fronts, I think that is one of the stronger arguments against it. Even though silver has not broken any records anytime soon, its performance based off of the natural market forces, I think, is worthy of study and also of appreciation. That silver can move in such a wild way within a year to rise so greatly, considering what's going on. Now, one can also say that, well, look at gold. Gold did reach its all-time high, but people have been saying that gold has been suppressed as well. And, you can make an argument that silver and gold should be much, much, much higher. But when you take into account all the different ways that gold and silver are priced and the complexity of the markets and factors that drive it, I mean, look at recently. We saw silver and gold go down after an inflation number came out. I posted a video about that. There's a lot of different factors that affect the markets, and they can be volatile and they can be very moody. That's right. It's an emotional game, which is why I've never given into the, quote, science of technical analysis, although I appreciate it. I can see how that can play a part and role in price predictions, but no one really knows where the price of silver or gold are going to go. And the most astute technical analyst out there will agree that there are factors that can throw everything off in that regard. But notwithstanding, silver has performed very well. On average, I think that close to 75% rise is something that should be recognized and applauded, considering what has been going on in the world over the past year. And so that is something to keep into account. So let's study this on two fronts, folks. And the first front is the most obvious, the one that we can look at. It's tangible in terms of looking at it on charts and data, and that is the spot price. And we know the spot price of silver is just like any other precious metal out there is delivered to us in the form of a bid price and the ask price. And that's going to come into play in an importance when we look at the other front. But essentially, the bid price is also known as the melt price, is the price from which the commodity or the precious metal is traded back to any particular dealer or agency that is going to take it back and make it open up to the market again for either resale or for recycling, such as melting it down into a form that can be reconstituted in bars, coins, and rounds. So that is the bid price, and usually that's lower, and usually for silver it's by a very small margin. I mean, we're talking literally a dime's worth of difference between the bid and ask price. And the ask price is the basis from which we buy precious metals from. So in other words, it's going to be a percentage above that. That movement in that price alone has done very well. And this is something that has occurred over the past 12 months. We've seen this activity related to the pandemic. And it's trading around $27.50 as of the recording of this video. And gold prices, well, they've only risen about 6.4% in this year, but they're still up. And that just goes to show you that's the safety of gold, is that it is not quite as wild with price movements, but it has gone up and it has broken records over the last year. But what is it about silver? You know, it's integral to numerous everyday products. And by the way, we've also talked about how copper has greatly increased in price as well, and it has not broken records either in terms of the spot price, but it is very, very close to as of the recording of this video. And that is why I think that this one front for silver's price is due to the demand in the industrial sector. And we know that silver is integrated in many parts, from photovoltaics to mobile phones to computers, automotive technology, electric vehicles, appliances. And as things become more computerized and chips are in short supply now too, silicone, I wonder what silicone is trading for now, especially in the automotive sector, we are going to see that the demand is going to increase. In fact, you know, when we talk about demand and supply, especially with what's been going on with either whether or not it's been a sin of omission or sin of commission from the LBMA's reporting of their silver holdings, some say that probably we're going to see more demand than supply in the coming years. And so that's why most of us are fairly bullish on the spot price of silver, which is the one front that I'm talking about now. The spot price for the metal will go up, and I believe that it will tighten and narrow along with gold. And so understanding that front with the demand and the rise of silver as an industrial factor is something to take into account here on the one front. The next front, the other front, is the physical demand for precious metals in the form of a hedge, in the form of coins, rounds, bars. It has been all but unprecedented over the past year. Starting in March of 2020 until now, we are seeing a great squeeze on the supply of silver products. And it has only been referred to as this squeeze starting in about January, after the Reddit movement with the GameStop and GMs and AMC and other stocks that they tried to squeeze. Well, they're trying to squeeze the banks, but in reality, the squeeze has been on the physical products, and the demand for those products has far increased the supply that is available for a particular point in time or moment in time until they can get as more stock to come in and fill the gap. And what has that done? That has risen silver's price above and beyond the spot, and it created almost a separate market. Now, spot price is still important because it is the basis, it is a foundation for the premiums, which is the price you pay above, and it has risen to between 30 and 50% above spot price in premiums. And this is due directly to an increase in demand on all levels of the supply chain process. That includes brokers and it includes, those manufacturers of planchets, of bars and the like. They're having to pay more, and everybody in that line, in that chain, is having to pay more for silver above and beyond spot price. So that is what's causing these high premiums. And those premiums work on their way to a seller's market. It is a seller's market for silver now, hence the increase in these premiums. But they also refer to those who are buyers. If they want to sell silver back to a local coin shop or dealer, or even other individuals, they have the luxury of being able to charge more for their silver. It's unusual to find a case where a local coin shop, unless they are completely out of the loop or they don't need silver to sell on their own, they will pay you well above spot price for it. Now, there is obviously a gap between what they will pay you and what they will charge you, and that gap as well has increased. But make no mistake, there's no reason why anybody should sell silver at spot price. You can get more than spot for it if you do a little bit of digging and research for it. In fact, most places are buying silver eagles for between $4, $5, $6, or maybe even $7 above spot. So if you need or want to sell your silver eagles, you are going to get a premium for them if you need to sell, which means that spot price, though relevant and utilized as a foundation, it is not the price that you will get for your silver. You're going to get more because of the market from which we live. And I think that is quite fascinating to see, that when you take into account those premiums, silver's price is much closer to that record that we saw in 2011 than based off of the spot price we are seeing. So the physical market of bullion is in a different world, in a sense, than the silver spot price. Therefore, that's part of what natural market forces are. The natural market forces move, and they expand out on two prongs. And you have the industrial side, which, by the way, the industrial side for those 1,000-ounce bars, a lot of them are paying more for it as well. 1,000-ounce bars were made available in the collector market, or the stacker market as well, too. SD Bullion sold them for a fairly substantial premium compared to what they normally would have gone for in the past. So everybody's paying more than spot price right now for silver. And it wasn't that long ago when we remember when it's not unusual to be to get less than spot by a 2-3% under spot for your silver. So there's the two fronts for the rise of silver. So I would encourage you silver stackers to take heart and to celebrate, really, the rise of silver on these two fronts. And I think the thing is about it is that we're all fairly bullish on silver by the end of the year. In fact, I still hold to my prediction that I think silver is going to get anywhere between $30 and $35, or at least touch those numbers before the year is out. And we're not too far away from $30 silver at the rate we're going now, but you never know. And as things normalize, if they normalize to a certain level, is there a new normal? What is normal? There's a lot of different factors that have to come into play. And I would say be encouraged with silver, but also be prepared that it could move the other way again as well, for a myriad of different reasons. It's a very difficult thing to predict, and we have to be prepared for a potential that silver could go down. There was a time when silver was unloved in this community. I remember it very, very well. And in reality, that was the time to stock up. But a lot of us were very, very reluctant to give that advice to stock up on silver at a time when it was trading for $16, and then it goes down to below $15, and it hangs there for a while. It's unloved, it doesn't seem that it's going to do much. It's stagnant, and a stagnant asset class or stock or anything is not newsworthy. It's not it's not sexy. Now silver's moving up, and people are talking about it. They're wanting to squeeze it. They're wanting to buy it. They're wanting to predict that it's going to go to the moon. Well, you know what? I would be happy with silver staying within our atmosphere in a breathable rate. You know what? And I don't mind if the air gets a little thin up there in the silver market, but at the same time, I'd much rather breathe the air of a commodity, of an asset class, of a monetary metal that has proven itself over millennia that it will be and do what it's supposed to do, and that is preserve your wealth over the course of a span of time. And so that's the hope we have in silver, and that is something that I hope that I think has proven itself. If you look at this, just the price structure alone in the spot market over the course of the last 100 years, I think that silver has proven itself in that regard. So let me know what your thoughts are about this topic, the rise of silver on these two fronts. And I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.